Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today I want to talk about the details for a huge patch coming to PlayerUnkown's Battlegrounds tomorrow at 1 a.m. Pacific time. That's Thursday, April 20th. This is going to change so many things about the game. It's a huge upgrade from performance improvements, new weapons, gun balance, new vehicles. There's a huge amount of content in this patch and I want to go over it right now. If you're as addicted to PlayerUnkown's Battlegrounds as I am, then this patch is big news for you. And for console players out there, I know you guys are like frustrated that you can't play this game as well. They are working on a console version of the game as we speak, so hopefully this will be a game that everybody can enjoy in the near future. First thing being added to the patch is the Vector SMG. You guys are probably familiar with this gun from other video games. It has an insanely high rate of fire of 1,200 rounds per minute. It's in real life supposed to have very low recoil, and it shoots 45 ACP caliber rounds. Currently in the game, the 1911 is the only thing that shoots 45 ACP, so this is going to be another weapon to utilize that caliber, and it could be one of the best close to medium range weapons in the game. In addition to this, they're also adding a new 2x aim point scope that I imagine we'll be able to use on every single weapon. They're adding a ballistic mask, which may actually provide physical face protection. They're adding new color variants of the Dacia instead of that just standard blue the whole time. They're bringing the crossbow back into the game, which was in earlier. They took it out, I guess, because it might have been buggy or something. And they're adding a new vehicle as well, a motorbike with a sidecar. So that's a two-person motorcycle, and they're also working on a just standard motorbike for a single person. And I saw a video out there of somebody driving this around. It looks like it's actually got pretty cool physics. So very excited to see the standard motorbike added to the game as well. Now, the next big exciting thing are the client-side performance improvements. I think we can all agree that this game doesn't run particularly smoothly just yet, and to get it to run well, you often have to crank the graphics settings all the way down. So this time around, they've made some big improvements to address the issues of FPS drops when opening inventory. They've reduced the load on the CPU through instance rendering so that GPUs can function to their full capacities. They've made improvements to address the issues of FPS severely dropping when in the vicinity of some of the bigger cities, and they've also improved the render performance on minimum spec PCs. Now, before listing off the patch notes, the developers also wrote a little article talking about how there will be some performance improvements in this patch, but it's not going to get the game to a state that they're happy with, and they're going to continue working on the performance of the game throughout the early access period. So we can expect a lot more performance improvements down the road to hopefully get that frame rate in a much more playable state. Now, when it comes to server performance, such as laggy performance overall, they said they've made some performance regarding items spawned into the world, although that's very vague. It doesn't really describe what they're talking about. They also stated before the patch notes that the server performance has nothing to do with server hardware or so much where the server is located, but the underlying netcode. They're aware of the issues. They're working on it. They just said it's going to take a lot longer to fix it. So we'll have to be patient with them on that front. So unfortunately, there's probably still going to be a bit of laggy gameplay after this patch, but it's one of their top priorities. Now, when it comes to world improvements, one of the biggest changes they're making here is they're adjusting the density of environmental elements to be identical across all graphical options. I believe this means the foliage setting will no longer give players a huge advantage for setting it to low. Also, smoke grenades, I believe, are less dense depending on what your effects settings are, and potentially rain. I've seen rain be affected as well. It can be thicker or harder to see through. So having graphical parity is a huge step in the right direction, especially towards making this game more competitive without also making it more ugly at the same time. The game actually looks quite good when the graphics are set to high, just nobody plays on high graphics. Now, when it comes to UI, there's actually been some pretty cool improvements made. One of the big ones is the fact that map markers will now be viewable to all teammates. So if you're trying to locate an enemy on the map or describe to somebody where you just saw somebody or where to go, you can now point it out on the map and people will see it. This is a huge thing. They've also added item descriptions for all the weapons now, attachment descriptions. So if you're not sure what some of the attachments do, they should have a better description letting you know, and your dead teammates' icons will now disappear after a little bit, so you don't have to see those icons for the rest of the game. When it comes to gameplay, they've made some improvements to the revive mechanics of the game and the spectating mechanics. Basically, now when you get downed and you're in a state where you need to be revived, you can now crawl backwards and you can also side strafe. So this will give you a little bit more flexibility in how to move around. Also, the revive timer will no longer go down if somebody starts the revive process. So if somebody's like trying to guess if they can get the revive off before you die, it's no longer a question anymore. You just have to try and get to your teammate before the revive timer goes down. And now when you actually completely die and you're in the spectator mode, you can open the world map. You can also see the casting bar when teammates are using heals and stuff like that. And it's going to basically give you a lot more control and power in your ability to try and help out your teammates and sort of plan strategies for them while they might be engaging in firefights. Also, you will no longer be able to heal or boost while you're in the water, so you can't just dive down to the bottom of some water and gain back all your health. No more sort of cheeky in the water strategies. Now, when it comes to the combat and gunplay, you're going to have to get back in the game and learn how pretty much every gun shoots, because they've made adjustments to everything, and not just the weapons, but the attachments as well. So they've adjusted the overall balance on all attachments. They've adjusted the overall balance on assault rifles. And they also mentioned that they're going to continue to balance all weapons and attachments throughout early access. So expect more balances and changes to make the game a bit more fair. They've also fixed the issue where cars would temporarily stop when their tires got shot out, which will be a nice change. You can also sprint while in the crouch state now as well. So if you need to get behind a low wall and move quickly, you can do that. They've adjusted the blood splatter size to now change depending on the caliber of the weapon. So a big sniper rifle will make a big spray and a small caliber will make a small spray. They've fixed the hitbox issue where the hitbox for the head could be bigger than it normally is sometimes. So you don't want accidental headshots, so that's a good fix. And they've also made the muzzle flash a lot brighter on weapons. So this should make it easier to see your opponent shooting at you from long distances. And it should also add more value to, say, the flash hider for weapons. So you might be more inclined to pick the flash hider over maybe like the muzzle brake or something that allows you to have reduced recoil. So I like that option a lot because being stealth in this game is a big part, and if people are locating you based on your weapon flash, that could be a bad thing. When it comes to sound effects, they're adding different sound effects for subsonic ammunition and non-subsonic ammunition. I don't know if this will apply to suppressed weapons, but probably a lot of the small caliber weapons like handguns that don't go supersonic will have different sounds. They've also made adjustments to the sound of the bullet flying through the air so that it doesn't play if you're being shot at from a short distance, so it doesn't confuse you to think that you're being shot at from long distance. They've also adjusted the firing sound of the SKS since it sounded almost like a suppressed weapon sometimes, and they've also adjusted the volume of footsteps and say that you should be able to figure out what floor your opponents are on just by listening. So it's not going to sound like you're right next to somebody if you're on the roof of a 3-story building and they're on the bottom floor. There's also a decent list of bug fixes, some of which involve weapons not clipping through walls anymore. I was able to locate a few enemies by seeing their guns poking through walls. They've also made it so that if you did pick a bald character, you no longer have like a pink hairstyle on after that. That was introduced in the last patch, and they fixed a lot of other things in the game, in addition to which they've opened up a test server now to better manage their content and secure stability for their live environment updates. And so this is really good. There's already basically a community test environment in the game. If you want to check it out, you can go to their website and find out details on how to do so. Overall, this is a really big patch. Hopefully it doesn't get rolled back like one of the previous patches where they found out that they introduced the new memory leak that was causing performance problems, and they just rolled the patch back after introducing it. On the bright side though, the fact that the game is only on PC right now and it's in Steam Early Access, the devs have the freedom to put out patches and roll them back as necessary. And so this allows them to progress further and faster and also not worry too much about the player state, as they can just roll patches back if they need to. Hopefully this one doesn't get rolled back because everything sounds really awesome. I can't wait to try out the new weapon, the new attachments, the new vehicle, and all of the performance and gameplay improvements. This is going to change a lot of things about the game and push it very far in the right direction. The patch is scheduled for a 1 a.m. launch Pacific Daylight Time, so that should be out before I wake up, and I'm going to play the heck out of it and let you guys know what I think. Very excited for that Chris Vector. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.